Hello everyone, it's the weekend. Welcome again to United Insurance's Line and Length. It's a cricket show where we look at the sport not only in the region, but abroad as well. I'm Barry Wilkinson, with me, Andrew Seeley. And as we look at what has happened during the week, the IPL about to wind down with the top four almost settled. And we also have some interesting developments, Andrew, at home with the regional team about to start their preparation for the New Zealand tour. And in South Africa, who will captain? Add to that, some corruption. One cricketer has been charged in New Zealand with some spot fixing. So much to discuss in this half an hour.
Certainly. And of course, cricket remains the topic. And the West Indies 20 have been selected. Franklin Stevenson will join us. He'll take a look at that 20. And he'll also talk a bit about who can captain South Africa. No Graham Smith, no Jack Callis. Will it be De Villiers? Will it be Dumini? And Hashim Amla says he's interested now too.
That's right. He did say he's interested. Who will the selectors go with? We'll discuss and have a look at the South African captaincy. Of course, Graham Smith took over when he was only 22 years old. And now it's the changing of the guards. We're going to also go to Kolkata in India and join none other than Mad Max Morrison, Danny Morrison. He's going to join us right here on United Insurance's Line and Length. So put on your seatbelts, get the popcorn. When we come back, we get cracking with so much to discuss.
When you are insured with United Insurance, you know you're in safe hands because our AM Best Excellent rating means that we have the financial strength and stability to protect your prized possessions. Rely on the company that understands your needs for property, motor, business, and marine insurance. For all your general insurance needs, choose United Insurance.
We're back on the program, United Insurance's Line and Length. Franklin Stevenson, we've been at his academy quite often, so it's good to have him in the studio for once. Frankie and Andrew, we looked at the topics that we're going to discuss. When you pick the top of those topics, IPL, I would say, still reigns supreme in the ongoing activity. Don't forget, England are playing against Sri Lanka, all the action on Sportsmax. But let's start first of all, Frankie, with the IPL. The West Indians that have been doing well there have been very impressive in the last week. We start none other than with Lendl Simmons. How impressed were you to see a man who came in the middle of the IPL but has stamped authority with the only century so far?
Very, very impressed. I was very happy with the knock that he played as well. I know it was very tough to be sitting in the wings and watching the game play, and he's come in and he's made an immediate impact. And it was really heartening to see. You know, people think about getting 120 overs, you've got to hit a lot of big sixes. Lendl Simmons did not do that. He played the ball pretty much on merit. Anything that was wide of the off stump, the hands were very fast. And he had been speaking about rotating the strike, and he did that very, very well as well. Fast hands, fast feet, and it showed a certain amount of maturity, you know, so I was very, very impressed.
Well, certainly, Lendl Simmons, Mumbai Indians struggled in the initial part of the IPL, and they brought in Lendl Simmons, probably a surprise pick. Maybe we could say Kieran Pollard asked them to make a call and get Lendl Simmons. He's fitted right in. What do you think allowed him to fit so snugly into the Mumbai Indians at the top of the order?
He's an international player, and I think he's been watching and waiting for his chance. He's always been a very, very confident individual. Sometimes people will say overconfident, but he's always backed himself. And I know that it's a very hard school to make your way through here in West Indies as a cricketer, because there's so much chopping and changing, so much to look at in a short space of time. And, you know, you'd have to be, you know, Don Badman and Sir Frank were wrapped up in one to just walk in and make your presence felt and go all the way through, because there's so many overriding issues around West Indies, and so you've got to really look at that for young people playing for the West Indies. But I've always been quite impressed with Lendl Simmons. He's never really seemed down, you know, downtrodden. He's always seemed upbeat about his own personal performance, and it showed. He thought that he could make a difference, got to play, and he's done absolutely that, you know. So, and he's really turned the fortunes around for Mumbai Indians, and I don't think they're looking much past him at all.
We had some 95s, two of them actually from Glenn Maxwell, but the highest score so far to date, of course, still got about 3 matches left. Sunday, the last day of the what you call the prelims of this IPL season. Now we continue with the West Indians, still in the rhyme, back in form, a fourfer for Kolkata, and it was a performance that many believe might just get them that fourth spot. Of course, we are talking on the penultimate day of the tournament. So we don't know what could happen within the next couple of days. But Calcutta, Sunil Narayan, back in form, always good to have him picking up wickets.
Oh, absolutely. He's a terror, isn't he? Everybody that talk about cricket, and they just mention Narayan as being pretty much the most difficult bowler to face and handle, and he's shown absolutely that. You know, he's been there or thereabouts, and now he's got I think it's the purple cap, he's got that back with his 4-wicket haul today. And again, you know, I love to see that as the competition goes on, the cream will rise to the top, and it's good to see that the West Indians, you know, who are, you know, sure about themselves, they're the ones who are now stating their claim and coming to the top when it really, really matters.
So we have Narayan out the way. You were going to just talk about Chris Gayle?
Dwayne Smith, first of all, I mean, we've been speaking about him, Frankie, almost every week because he's done well almost every week. He failed in 2 matches, came back and got back to form, and he's gone over 500 runs now in the IPL. It's outstanding, and certainly I think we Barbadians and West Indians generally are excited at the prospect of Dwayne Smith doing well because we've waited for so long for Dwayne Smith to do well.
Consistently well.
Consistently well.
Absolutely. And that's the main find of this competition, I think, you know, because Dwayne Smith, I mean, he's played well over the last couple of years. He's helped them to a couple of trophies. But, you know, the way he's been playing this year is sending a lot of people back to the West Indian devastating batsman of old. You know, he's been playing through the offside. He's been playing the ball.
No longer an onside player.
Does he remind you of any particular cricketer of the past era?
I'm not going to say them with anybody. I think that we've waited so long for Dwayne Smith. You know, I know you're going to pull me into calling names, Barry. But really and truly, I'm looking at Dwayne Smith, and because I did do some stuff with the Combined School South years ago with Dwayne Smith and Kirk Wilkinson and Ryan Nurse and those guys as kids. And I'm looking to see now, dealing with some youngsters we have in our academy, you know, what you can actually do to get these youngsters to realize their potential at a young age and get them to start working on these things that Dwayne Smith, after about 10 years of the West Indian people pulling their hair out as to why he's got to hit across everything, now he's found out that he doesn't have to hit across everything. He can score a lot faster and more consistent, you know, so I'm sort of looking at that. That's the comparison that I'm looking at, you know, comparing him to then and wondering how can you get through the young people to, you know, get them to reach that potential at the early stage.
We've had some controversial thoughts on the catch being taken by Kieron Pollard. When I say controversial, it was clean, fantastic catch. People are saying, was it as good as Chris Lynn's catch? What do you think about that Kieron Pollard catch? It was special.
And it was something that probably Franklin Stevenson in his day would have done.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that either.
I took a couple of special catches, I'm sure. One was Curtis King when he smashed me out of the attack, and I went to mid-wicket because I saw him hit a ball in that general direction and it wasn't controlled, and I thought, well, the only way we're going to win this game is if Curtis gets out, and he hit one somewhere in my direction, and I ran, and I know it hit the ground before the ball hit my hand, but I was going after that. But that catch with Kieron Pollard, I count that it's 4 catches in one. I've never seen anything like it. I never challenge anybody at all to show me one that can actually match it. First of all, it was the actual art of catching the ball, reverse one-handed over your head and over the boundary, having the presence of mind to keep your toes. It had to be no more than millimeters away from the boundary board, and your entire body, you know, then is 95% of your body, 99% of your body is over the boundary rail, and you can throw that ball back over your shoulder, I think it was, and then regain your balance and then get back over and then catch that ball full length, diving away back onto the boundary. I mean, there's nothing at all spared there. If the ball was another 4 inches higher, it was 6 runs. If nothing at all was left there. So you show me
or the right,
anywhere, you know, and there wasn't anything at all else that he could have done, and nothing else that was possible, I think, to be done. You know, so I think it was absolutely fantastic. People are stopping short of saying that's the best ever, but I can't imagine anything. The other thing that I saw was really remarkable that I can nearly put in that category was Roger Harper running out Graham Gooch. When Graham Gooch slightly advanced down the wicket and drove Roger Harper powerfully on the onside of the pitch, Roger Harper, one big lunging step and a pickup and a throw midair, and Gooch momentum was still coming forward when the ball was going past him to run him out. And I've never seen anything like that, because not even Gooch could even imagine. He drove the ball to long on as far as he saw and got run out, you know. So those are things that stick in your mind. But Kieran Pollard's catch brings something to test it, and I will sit down and carefully study them for as long as possible. I can still see myself saying Kieran Pollard's catch is the best I've ever seen.
Andrew, I know you're a bit concerned about the form of Chris Gayle, or the lack thereof.
Certainly, and I am wanting to believe, and I hope Frankie accepts my argument, that Chris Gayle is not fully fit. My view is that he's not fully fit, and I remain concerned. His 100th test coming up against New Zealand in a matter of weeks, and the Royal Challengers Bangalore probably out of the IPL, so he probably has some time to recover. But I'm worried that he's not fully fit, and I'm not sure what the future for Chris Gayle can be at this stage.
Well, definitely, you can see that he's not fully fit, but that's affecting his batting too much, right? The problem with Chris Gayle's batting really is that the guys are bowling him well. And for a long time, you put the ball in front of Chris Gayle and you move it left or right, it was going to be a problem, and that is what's manifesting itself right now. He's always going to be an enigma or a problem for a team, in that he can, blast 100 on one leg, in 30 balls or something, and you're always tempted to play him, but to the extent that he's going to pull your team down, because he's a liability in the field. Have him at slip, he cannot save many singles for you. Even batting, you can't turn the strike over fast enough.
No quick singles.
That's it. And he doesn't seem to really, it's always been his sort of demeanor, but the effort, to really push, you're not fit yet, so you're going to be languishing at 90-80% or so. So if you've always had that ability to push yourself that extra 5 or 10%, that when you're fully fit you can see yourself giving 110, then you can still see him trying to do things. But it's very difficult for his team right now, although they love him and they're going to keep him there for as long as possible. But definitely he's been an encumbrance for his team this year, and I'm sure as a professional he will feel it, and we will take a good look and see what comes of Chris Gayle. I've seen Dwayne Smith make some changes. We've been looking for Chris Gayle to make changes for a long time, to press onto that front leg and bend it and place forward. And he's always been struggling to do that. And now that he's not quite fit, I know that if your knees are giving you problems or your back, then you can't lean forward and hold your balance on that front leg. And so it does make batting more difficult, So he's had a torrid time. So let's see what he's made of if he really wants to do the hard work and come back.
All right, speaking of comeback, we're going to do just that. And when we do, we'll talk about corruption in cricket and also a look at who should captain South Africa going forward. Don't move.
When you are insured with United Insurance, you know what it feels like to feel this safe. Choose the financially strong regional insurance company with the strength and stability to protect your prized possessions. For property, motor, business, and marine insurance, you're in safe hands with United Insurance.
So we're back on the show. So much has happened during the week. Let's start first of all at home with the 20-man squad. We discussed it last week, but of course Franklin did not have his chance to give his thoughts. Your thoughts on the Dinesh Ramdin 20-man squad. Earlier we had Darren Ganga last week saying he thinks Kieran Powell should be vice-captain. Your thoughts on the squad and perhaps a possible vice-captain?
Well, I don't know these young players that well to voice an opinion. Just like watching telly and seeing players come into the squad. I don't even know their backgrounds or how they gel with the team and so on. You've got to be a lot closer. I would have to be a lot closer to make an opinion like that. But I wish them all the best. I know that it's always been a problem for a long time. It's had been a problem for the West Indies to find leadership material. But I think the main thing that the captain has got to be doing is try to get these players to play together, because I think it was a quiet statement that we were preparing for a World Cup, and instead of being out there in a camp and working on all the parameters and permutations and so on, we had to take the team away to a neutral country up in Miami to try to do some gelling, and that was a massive statement, So I hope that they can gel and understand that, when you hear the West Indies coming to town, Barry, it was always a lifting thing. And when you looked at the guys, it was almost like you were looking at guys that were larger than life. You know, now you're wondering who is it again that's playing for the West Indies? You know, and so these players have a lot to do to bring that back. You know, I believe in things getting better if they are supposed to even be as good as the past or to go forward, and these guys have that to look at. So, you know, I think that I wish the squad, you know, all the best. Everybody that you mentioned, people say, oh, but the attitudinal problems. You forget the attitude and see cricket, I'm hoping. I know that there have been some very good performances in local cricket, and you know, although the problem is with the standard, that people say the standard is so low, but I believe that these players can stand up, and I would like to see them do that, you know.
Well, so, Frankie, if we move on from that and move to South Africa, a country that you called home for quite a number of years, Graham Smith has gone on, Jack Callis has retired, we now have a new cadre. Some of them you said you hardly know, you just seen him on television, much like the West Indian players, but the prohibitive favourite to be captain of the South Africa team is A.B. de Villiers, but we've also heard Hashim Amla indicate his interest, and there's also J.P. Duminy, who is seen as an outside possibility. Your thoughts on South Africa post Graham Smith and Jack Callis?
Well, let me just correct your intro in the sense there, in that never called South Africa home. And there was offered actually Hansie Cronje that they wanted me to play for the squad. And he asked Ali Bakar, and Ali Bakar told him that I'd have to spend 7 years.
Right.
But no, I've never left Barbados. I've never...
You've left, but you haven't stayed away.
That's it. Only contracts, only 6-month contracts.
Okay, fair enough.
And come straight back to Barbados, you know, definitely. I think that A.B. de Villiers will be the upfront heir apparent in a sense. He's done the vice captain job and he's been there, probably trying to do too much at times. But then the thing is that when he does more, he actually performs better, because as a wicket keeper, I think he has a better average of keeping wicket than actually batting in the first place. So he is that type of person that is always involved. He's experienced enough and confident enough, and I think that he will be the one. It's a big statement for Hashim Amla to make that he wants it. I haven't heard it personally, but I'm told that he said he wants it.
That's right.
And so he wouldn't be, I mean, he's experienced enough as well. I don't know, I only see him batting and watching the men as a batsman. Never heard him speak very much and see him interacting with other players. And I know that Duminy, you know, he's got a very good level head on his shoulders to be such a good finisher, and, you know, to come in and see things happening and cool situations down. And that always tells you about a person and their demeanor as well. So I think that they've got 3, you know, quality guys, I think, that could lead the team. It's a very hard hole to fill when you have a player retiring that took over the captaincy at age 22, almost out of the blue.
That's right.
And put his stamp on it. I think he was first a captain and then a player, you know, Graham Smith, in a sense, you know. So very hard shoes to fill. And then looking at Jack Callis. I mean, how do you replace Jack Callis? He's going to go down as the best performing cricketer of all time, I think. You know, yes, you've got Sagari that nobody could ever replace, but as an all-rounder to be, you know, that many runs and that many wickets. I mean, he's just been like a tank going on and on and on and playing for his team. And now you got not only to replace the captain, but replace your leading all-rounder. And how do you replace him? You know, as well. So,
and we don't have a Franklin Stevenson.
But you know, the thing about South Africa is that, you know, when in the 90s, you know, the cry was that they had so many people that wanted to play cricket. Cricket was just the end game. All the schools, they had to bring young coaches out of England, flooding the place, and they had help from all over the world, and everybody wanted to play cricket, you know, and they brought in all these innovations and so on. So I think that they can find these players. I'm sure that they're there. You're seeing some come to the IPL that haven't played first-class cricket, international cricket as yet. And I'm sure that you know, somebody's going to step up to the plate. So there's still going to be a very, very strong force to reckon with, I'm sure.
In 30 seconds, Franklin, we ran out of time. Your thoughts on this corruption scandal that is going on in New Zealand cricket? We didn't expect it to be happening there because we know in India they've had some challenges, even in Pakistan. But the Kiwis beginning to charge and get some people rounded up for match fixing.
You know, it still astounds me. I mean, the biggest scandal came as one of my captains, actually, and the best man I've ever seen captain any team anywhere at all. That was Hansie Cronje. And to me, it was a shock then. you know. But I've always seen cricket as a very hard game to fix in a sense. And how do you spend that sort of time developing an art and then go out there and tarnish it by letting somebody tell you to bowl a no ball or bowl a wide or get out, you know? So I think it's just human nature, and it's down to the individual. But it's a shocking thing. I know it's very. To develop as a cricketer, you spent so many hours, and they say it's about 10,000 hours, I think, that you need to spend to actually develop the art. And that's, I think, 3 hours a day for 10 years, somebody tells me, you know? And then to come and tarnish it like that. But then to ban that person, I think that they did need to put some serious guidelines down to say, well, this is what shouldn't happen. But then, I mean, you say that, but that's life, isn't it? You know, ignorance is not.
And that's why they're prisons. Unfortunately, that's why they're prisons.
Well, I don't think it needs to start with the cricketers. Maybe some should be there, but I know that those.
Oh, for different reasons, not for match fixing.
All right.
No, it's tough. I'm very appalled. I'm amazed, but for sure, just throw the book at anybody that goes out and tarnishes the game like that.
All right, we've got a Kiwi on the show coming up next. When we come back, Danny Morrison is going to join us from Kolkata in India.
When you are insured with United Insurance, you know you're in safe hands because our AM Best Excellent rating means that we have the financial strength and stability to protect your prized possessions. Rely on the company that understands your needs for property, motor, business, and marine insurance. For all your general insurance needs, choose United Insurance.
Hello everyone, welcome back to United Insurance's Line and Length. Time now to go to Kolkata in India and talk to Danny Morrison. He's been the man who's been giving everyone just about every inch of excitement there in Kolkata at the Pepsi IPL. Danny, so good to see you. How are things shaping up? We're heading towards the playoffs. How are you enjoying yourself at the IPL?
Yeah, pretty amazing. They're going to say we love coming here, the land of a billion and some. So they do embrace cricket well, as you know. So very exciting, and it's going nicely, this tournament. Some other stars have been unearthed, and all looking forward to the business end of this big IPL.
Now, you look at some of the teams, Chennai Super Kings, the Kings 11 Punjab. They're the two ones that are out front and centre. Kings 11 qualifying, of course, for the quarterfinals. Chennai dropping in their last couple of matches, but they're still doing pretty well. Overall, has the standard of the cricket this year been surprising to you?
Look, I think Mumbai has been pretty disappointing. They were the champs last year. They won the IPL in 2013. They beat CSK in the final, so they've been massively disappointing. And then when you look at Kings 11, they've promised in past years and haven't delivered, and now they're at the top of the tree. So when I look at Kings 11 and some of their signings, Maxwell's obviously been outstanding. Mumbai, crazy to let some of those guys go. Dwayne Smith, powerful West Indian, he's gone to Chennai and doing well with McCullum. Mitchell Johnson, he's gone from Mumbai, so they've really struggled. And the double R's, the Rajasthan Royals, they're up there. And being here in Kolkata, the Knight Riders, they have now got on a bit of a roll and have won 5 on the trot. So that's exciting for the boys from the Bay of Bengal.
Now, the Royal Challengers Bangalore, they too have been somewhat disappointing. You would have expected with Virat Kohli, Chris Gayle, AB de Villiers, that they would have put up a better showing with the bat, but they have been a bit of a letdown. What has been the reason? Probably
too many parties, Barry. You know, they should be used to those parties, shouldn't they? No. It's a hard one to put a finger on. I mean, you've got, as you mentioned, those names, simply outstanding individuals. And when Yuvraj Singh has got runs, anyway. So, yeah, they've got a lot of question marks to answer in terms of putting it together, all together on the same night. They simply haven't done it enough. And their bowling, you know, it's lacked at times. They've got some quality, but they're missing out, you know, collectively as a group. So, yeah, tough for them because they have put them on paper. Oh, powerful.
When you look at how Virat Kohli has come about as India's premium batsman, do you think that it is time for him to take over the helm of Indian cricket and give perhaps someone like the current captain Mahendra Singh Dhoni a break? Do you think he's ready for that assignment?
Stephen Fleming, the coach of the Chennai Super Kings, questioned how much longer can MS Dhoni continue to captain India in all 3 formats. I think the smart money is on. It's interesting to step back from the T20 side. You've got the 50 over Cup in Australia and New Zealand at the beginning of next year, February, March. I think that might be a swan song for MSD. Is he going to continue playing Test cricket? Is he going to maybe call it a day completely? That's also been muted about too, Barry. So he may actually just continue captaining all three formats and finish and go at the ICC 50 over World Cup. I'd like to see him keep playing. I think he's got a bit to offer still, even 50 over cricket and Test cricket. Maybe drop T20, or does he drop Test cricket and play the limited format? So we don't know. It's an interesting one, but something you think has to give for MSD. You can't keep doing as long as he has, even though he's a unique individual, captain cool and all that. Something has to give.
Now, you've done cricket so often in the Caribbean, you would know that they have now 3 different captains. What is your take and thoughts on Darren Sammy, who was dropped as the Test captain and would only be captain in T20s? I know you've been keeping yourself in the loop about what's happening in the region.
Absolutely. I just think with Darren, maybe it's his bowling. I mean, certainly his batting lends itself to 50 overs and 20 overs. We know that. The bowling side of things, hasn't really been involved as much, and he relies on being more of a batter. So in terms of limited overs format, more of a specialist from my perspective. I think he lends his skill set to T20 and 50 overs. It's a shame for cricket fans, being the captain, the first ever captain from where he's from, St Lucia, amazing. So it's tough for them, absolutely. But again, all 3 formats in the modern era, hard to do and consistently do it. So something again there saying, well, time for a change. Healthy, is it? Disappointing for Sammy fans, no doubt about it. But I think when you look at it, again, balance of the side, got to pick specialists. I think Darren Sammy is one of those classic cases where he's a great finisher, bats well in limited overs cricket, but his bowling in the longer version perhaps just hasn't quite got the teeth it needs in the 5-day format.
Final question, pick a winner for this year's Pepsi IPL. Who will win it? Who will win it on June 1st, Danny?
Barry, man, give it some. It'll be the Kings 11 with bells on. I want the Kings 11 to cut loose and carve up CSK in the final.
and are we going to be seeing you for the Lima Call Caribbean Premier League?
You heard it here first. I'll be there, carving it up with the Trinity posse, big time.
Big time. Danny Morrison, great to have you from Calcutta. We look forward to seeing you in Kingston, Jamaica, when you come down for the Lima Call CPL. Thanks so much. So thank you so much, Danny Morrison. That's it for this week. Thanks to Franklin Stevenson, of course, Andrew Seeley. We'll see you again next week. We have a very special guest. Make sure you're watching to find out. I'm Barry Wilkinson. Bye-bye for now.